Imagine spending your entire life believing you were sick, believing you couldn't stand or walk, believing you needed machines and tubes just to stay alive. Imagine that from the day you were born until your early adulthood, you knew nothing of the world except hospital rooms, wheelchairs, and charities pitying you. But the greatest shock of all, everything you lived was a lie. And not just an ordinary lie, but a terrifying conspiracy crafted by the person closest to you. This story isn't a novel or a fictional movie. It really happened in Missouri, USA, and it shook public opinion because it revealed the dark side of parental love when it becomes a prison. It is the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and the mother who turned her into a hostage for her entire life until she herself became the final victim. On July 2nd, 1991, a little girl named Gypsy Rose was born. Her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, was a woman in her 30s with a complicated family history. From the first month, Dee Dee started telling doctors that her daughter was ill. She claimed the child suffered from sleep apnea and severe problems with her heart and lungs. That was the start of a hospital journey that never seemed to end. Over time, Dee Dee added more illnesses to the list. She said Gypsy had muscular dystrophy that prevented her from walking, and that she permanently needed a wheelchair. Later, she claimed Gypsy had leukemia and required a feeding tube. Little by little, Gypsy became a symbol of tragic childhood. She grew up in this unhealthy atmosphere of exaggerated pity. Local media highlighted the mother and daughter, showing Dee Dee as a brave, selfless woman dedicating her life to caring for her sick child. Television programs aired images of Dee Dee holding her frail daughter, smiling at cameras, while Gypsy sat in a wheelchair, speaking in a faint voice, as if she lacked the strength even to talk. Over time, charities competed to offer them gifts. They received huge donations, free trips to Disneyland, and even a fully furnished house built specially to accommodate a disabled child. But the truth no one dared to imagine was that Dee Dee wasn't doing this out of love. She suffered from a rare mental disorder called Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This disorder drives a caregiver to fabricate or cause illnesses in another person, often a child, to gain sympathy and attention. And Dee Dee played that role masterfully. She moved from one doctor to another until she found someone who believed her stories. When anyone objected, she accused them of negligence or simply transferred Gypsy to another hospital. While Dee Dee was orchestrating this elaborate performance, Gypsy grew up never knowing any other reality. She truly believed that if she ever tried to stand, she would die instantly. She believed her body could not survive without medicine and tubes, and that her life would be short. Years passed and the lies piled up. Even her official records were unclear because Dee Dee intentionally hid many real documents to make it impossible for anyone to uncover the truth. Gypsy didn't go to school. Her mother claimed to homeschool her, but in reality she kept her ignorant so she wouldn't start questioning things. She lived completely isolated from the outside world. No phone, no friends. But what Dee Dee didn't realize was that the desire for freedom never dies, no matter how long you are chained. In her early 20s, Gypsy began to feel something wasn't right. Why didn't she feel the terrible pain that supposedly came with cancer? Why did she sometimes feel her legs could move, even though her mother insisted she was paralyzed? Despite her fear, she started searching for answers. During a charity event she attended with her mother, she met a young man her age. Over time, they developed a secret online relationship. At night, she would sneak to her laptop using a fake name to talk to him. For the first time in her life, she felt like she owned something of her own. Again and again, she tried to hide the relationship, but deep down, the idea of escaping began to take shape. A crazy idea that, over time, became her only hope. Dee Dee felt something had changed. She grew harsher and more controlling. She constantly watched Gypsy and refused to let her go out alone. She warned her that any defiance could lead to her death, or the loss of all their financial help. As the tension escalated, Gypsy saw no way out but to make her final decision. In the summer of 2015, she planned everything with the young man she loved. They agreed he would come to her house after midnight and kill her mother. On the night of June 10th, he entered the house while Dee Dee was in a deep sleep. He crept into her bedroom with a kitchen knife. Meanwhile, Gypsy stood in the bathroom, covering her ears and crying. After a few minutes, everything was over. Dee Dee lay dead in her bed. Then Gypsy came out to confirm that she was finally free. The two fled together immediately. Gypsy posted a strange message on her mother's Facebook account. "That bee is dead. I made her scream like a pig." It was a bizarre attempt to make sure police found the body quickly. Indeed, within hours, worried neighbors called the police. Officers entered the house and found Dee Dee dead in bed, with Gypsy nowhere to be found. It didn't take long to track them down. They had fled to another state and were hiding in the young man's family home. The police arrested them both and took them in for questioning. Then came the biggest shock. When investigators entered the room where Gypsy was held, it was the first time anyone had ever seen her standing, walking without any difficulty. They couldn't believe their eyes. She had never been paralyzed. She had never been sick, as everyone thought. A long investigation began, unraveling all the lies. Dee Dee's masks fell quickly as doctors and detectives realized Gypsy had never needed any of those treatments or medications. All her life, she had been a prisoner of a fabricated reality, a victim of a delusion her mother planted in her mind and in everyone else's. The American and international press covered the story as one of the strangest cases of the century. How could one woman fool dozens of doctors, charities, and even her closest neighbors? How did a young girl spend her entire life under the influence of fabricated illness until she became ready to commit murder just to regain her freedom? When Gypsy's trial began, public opinion was divided. Some saw her as an innocent victim who knew no other way out. Others believed she was responsible for a horrific crime. Standing in court, she was calm for the first time in her life. She said she didn't hate her mother, but she simply couldn't take it anymore. She said she wished she had found another way besides murder, but she hadn't known any other solution. Today, years after the crime, her story is still discussed in universities and documentaries. It has become a symbol of the devastating consequences of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This story teaches us that pathological love can become a weapon more dangerous than any physical violence, and that nothing is more frightening than when the person who claims to love you is the same one stealing your life. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share your opinion in the comments. Do you see Gypsy as a victim or a killer? And can a person ever choose their destiny when they are born a prisoner to someone else's delusion?